Hey Cindy, welcome to our show. I'm very happy to have you. How are you
Hi,
doing?
Albert. I'm good. Hi, Albert. Thank you for inviting me. I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Me too. Thank you so much for joining. And as I know, we are gonna talk about fear versus love and this how love is healing from your perspective. So can you tell us more about that?
Okay, so first of all, I've written a book that helps you to understand the difference and recognize, because you got to really recognize the difference between love and fear. Fear is very pervasive in our lives, and we aren't even aware of it. Here's some things that are fear-based that people aren't aware of. You make a judgment, fear-based. You think you're an individual, fear-based. Um, Competition, conflict, anger. A lot of these things are common, but some of the uncommon ones are the judgment. If you make a judgment, you're in fear. Um, if you think you're an individual, you're in fear. Um, so these things, um, if you think you're happy, sometimes you're not. You think you are, but you're not. You're actually in fear. It's amazing. The love is kindness, compassion, integrity, harmony. Um, Fear is everything else. That's how I like to describe it.
Yeah, that's very interesting. But to me, it seems a bit radical viewpoint, but it's absolutely interesting. I'm curious on something you mentioned. Why do you think that competition is generated from fear?
Because you always want to win. You want to one up a person. And instead, why don't you want to wish the best for everyone? Even for the person you're having a competition with. Personally, I love to play games. I absolutely love it. I think it's fun. But for me, it's just fun. I don't I don't care if I win or lose. It's just entertainment to me to have it play a game, whatever game I'm playing. But a lot of people take winning very seriously, and they can be sore losers and sore winners. All that's based on fear. It's based on the need to be able to be better than another person or another group of people or whatever.
So in this context, you're stating that fear is kind of the opposite of love, right? Or they are kind of opposites. But
They
what
are
is,
opposites.
sorry?
They are opposites.
Uh-huh. But how about like the opposite of fear might be courage? So how does that resonate?
Courage isn't at all related to fear. I know that that's hard to understand because you say, I have the courage to get out of this terrible situation. That's more love-based than it is fear-based because you're actually making a decision to better yourself. And you do that from love. You don't do that from fear. People do it from fear, but the end result isn't love-based.
Yeah, I kind of get that
I
partially.
know it's
Yeah.
hard.
But how do you see the link between courage and love in this context?
Oh, no one can do anything alone. Absolutely no one can do anything alone. There is always help, whether it's seen or unseen. My goal is to help you connect to your intuition so that you always choose from love, not fear. It starts with some sense of discontentment. You say, this doesn't work for me in some way or form. That's what gives you the impotence and the courage to make a change. That is love-based because you've decided to step out of fear, to step out of what's your comfort zone. We get comfortable with the way things are and we don't believe they can be better. And believe me, once you learn to connect to your intuition, step away from fear, step into love, things are so much better. You can't possibly imagine. It's not possible to imagine how much better it is. It just gets way better.
Right, right. And many people are living in this state of fear, and it might be because of deep-rooted problems in their personalities from their childhood, from their upbringings, right? All of these experiences, previous life experiences, might bring us this fear and discomfort in these situations that we might feel the urge to compete, to overachieve, to think higher of ourselves than what actually is. Or what's also interesting, you said that if one thinks about himself as an individual, it is fear-based, which is also very interesting. I hear it for the first time, kind of. So
Yep,
yeah, yeah. So maybe you can also explain on that a little bit later. But what I'm trying to get is how could someone overcome all of this and convert or switch to this state of love, in your
takes
opinion?
time and effort.
Hmm.
I'm going to say a saying, repetition is your best friend. It is. And because you have to keep working at it, you have to keep trying. And are you going to make mistakes? Absolutely. Are you not going to succeed all the time? Absolutely. You just keep trying.
Yeah, but
You
what is
have to keep trying.
absolutely, but what to try to? Because like, yeah, saying that you should be in love, like, yeah, that's a very wild umbrella term, in my opinion. It's not like practical, you know. So if I'm willing, for example, to experience love and to relinquish all these drawbacks that held me back because of fear, right? But it is actually deep rooted inside of me, and I have these feelings. I have these, for example, I'm a competitive person. For if I were to say an example from myself, yeah, I'm a very competitive person. Like whatever I do, I try to do it the best, better than the others, you know. So, and I have this urge. It's not very, yeah, and I think
I
many people
understand
do.
what you're saying, and all of that's absolutely true. Your next stage is to try and move beyond that. Now, I can give you a simple saying to say that'll actually help you with that. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't even happen easily, believe it or not. It is very simple, but it's not easy. There's a difference. And to give up fear, you give up thinking you know what's best for yourself. And you
Yeah.
don't. You don't. You don't. And anytime I've not listened to my guides, they tell me something to do, and I can give you a little story. I was at physical therapy. I live in Phoenix, Arizona area, and we have monsoon season. So, and big, huge storms come in. And I was at physical therapy, and I said, "When can I leave?" And they said, "Noontime." This was 9 o'clock in the morning. I finished my physical therapy at 10, and I said, "I'm not waiting. I'm going." Well, because I asked and I didn't listen. And because I didn't listen, I had to go through hordes of rain, blew out 2 fuses, lost air conditioning, and we were driving to California through the Mojave Desert at 120 degrees Fahrenheit, hot by the way, and it took 6 to 8 hours and $600 to $800 to fix my mistake.
Wow.
All because I didn't listen and wait 2 hours. I'm only telling this story because it points out when you don't follow your intuition and you don't listen, you make more trouble for yourself. This is where you start by realizing and accepting you do not know what's best for yourself. Yes, you have all these emotions churning up inside of you, rolling around, causing you pain and anguish, and you don't know what to do about it. And you start with, I want something better. It's really as simple as that, but you have to think it and you have to say it. And once you start that, it opens the door to spirit to come in and help you. And then you are guided to what is best. I'm going to recommend never do the Big Bang Theory. Try and get rid of everything all at once. Doesn't work. It's really hard on you and it's not very successful. You need to just think of one thing at a time, slowly. I'm afraid to go out after 6 o'clock at night, for example. Okay, so go out at 6:15. That you think that's silly, but it's 15 minutes that you've overcome a fear. And that makes a difference. You know,
Absolutely.
does any of that help?
Yeah, yeah, that sounds helpful. Absolutely. But what are, for example, from your experience, maybe what are some milestones that people achieve that confirms that they are on the right path? Because it is a long path, as you said, and it might be error prone as well, and you might not be making progress while you think you are. So what are like kind of milestones on the way that they can anticipate?
Um, One of the major milestones is something that used to bother you. All of a sudden, you realize it doesn't bother you anymore. That takes a little awareness, but you will start to see that happening. One of the other things is if you start to see flashes of light out the side of your eyes, that means you're starting to open up to spirit and you're connecting better. You might have more vivid dreams. That's a good thing, by the way. Yes, that is a good thing. And sometimes it starts with nightmares. Just let it go. Just let it happen. And because that means you're clearing out some of your stuff. Um, those are the major things.
Very interesting. Yeah, I've been experiencing that recently. Maybe I won't
Ah,
give
that's
up.
a good sign.
Yes, yes. Looks like.
It's a little hard to get through, but because sometimes, I mean, this morning I had a nightmare and I'm pretty experienced and I'm like, oh, for crying out loud, they're back. Oh my God, more clearing.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, but like it is part of the process, right?
It is. The stuff has to come out one way or the other. Be grateful it's during sleep time and not something disastrous as an accident or some major health issues. By the way, I've had both, but either way, the stuff has to come out.
Yeah, right. And from my perception, when you are talking about this state of love, I'm very much comparing it to the enlightenment that they usually say. So, what is your thought on that? I'm sure you have read something like that. Like they say when you like reach the enlightenment state. So how do you compare it with this love you're talking about?
You have to do the love first before you reach the enlightenment stage. The enlightenment stage may or may not happen while you are incarnated in this lifetime. Most likely, once you've learned all your lessons, you will reach enlightenment at the end of your life, just before you die, usually is what happens. But you
Mhm.
can't reach enlightenment unless you're in a body because you got a bunch of lessons to learn to return yourself back to love.
Right. Yeah, that's a plan. And Yeah, so one more question about the love. So when you are saying you are in the state of love, does that involve other people? How does that, is it really dependent on others in your life? Is it dependent on, like, for example, let's say for the vast majority of people, love is like the romantic love, the romantic relationships. So how does that fall into this plot or scenario we are talking about? Does it involve even your family, or it can be, you can be just in love just on your own without the need of anyone? How does that all play out?
Love has nothing to do with anybody else. Absolutely nothing. This that romantic love, we all need a partner, whether it's romantic or not. We need someone helping us. Love is more of a encompassing, it's really hard to describe, so I'm going to try. It's more like an encompassing warmth of a warm blanket around you, and a true knowing nothing is wrong. Nothing can harm you. It's a little hard to describe, but that's kind of what it is.
Because in our common sense, when we say love, we think of love towards something, like love towards someone, love towards ourselves, love towards the universe. Love, like we should, like, love is, in my perception, for example, I'm sure many people share the same idea. Love is something you direct towards something. So what do you think
Yes.
of
No.
that?
Lo-
Yes or no?
Yes, I understand what you're saying. It is how the majority of people think and respond to love. However, true love is none of those things. It's all about you, yourself. It's, I'll give you an example, and it's a little hard to describe. I used to own a truck, and I was driving home in the truck, and all of a sudden, I had this most overwhelming feeling of true knowing there was no such thing as duality. Absolutely nothing could harm me, hurt me, nothing. It's when I realized I loved everyone. Didn't matter who they were, what they did, I loved them. It's a type of feeling, it's hard to describe. Granted, it only lasted for a few days, because then basically you get brought back down into this is the ego world, and you don't stay up. Love is a very high vibration. Um, but it was just an amazing feeling. And if you're lucky enough to feel that, I hope everyone does, then you'll understand, but it's hard to describe.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, I had, like, I wouldn't say I had this completely, but I had moments when, like, on my journey, when I was learning, for example, compassion. So experiencing compassion towards like everything was pretty mind-opening thing, because you realize that you actually shouldn't be even bothered by anyone or anything, because you don't take things personally. Yeah, you experience this kind of compassion. So can we say that this compassion is somehow linked to this love you're talking about?
Absolutely.
Uh-huh.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Compassion is a hard thing to learn, by the way. It really is, because com for compassion to be working, it has to be thorough. There is no, I'm going to be compassionate today to you, but tomorrow you made me mad and I'm not going to be compassionate to you. No, that's not how compassion works.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's hard to keep controlling that. I mean,
You do.
yeah, you have some moments of relapsing to your old like habits. Yeah, even
Absolutely.
even in the times, like I'm talking from my experience when I'm learning like these things, and out of the sudden I find myself, like, for example, judging someone, and it's just out of old habits, you know.
Yeah,
And you realize that, oops, I'm contradicting what I'm working on. So yeah,
it's going to happen.
for sure.
And what I do when that happens is I do forgiveness because I'm a student of A Course in Miracles. So as a result, I have a saying that I say for forgiveness, where I recognize and understand that we've not done anything wrong. We're all innocent. We're all here to learn lessons. And while their lesson hurt me, it's my perception. It's just words they said. It's how I took it. And maybe, yeah, the intent was to hurt me. But if I don't take the intent, then I can still have the compassion. Okay, I don't succeed all the time. And yes, immediately I've got to go and do my forgiveness. Okay, I don't do it immediately. And I like to moan a little bit, but you get a lot happier the sooner you forgive or let it go.
Yes, right, right. Yeah, I think many insights could be taken from this letting go book. I'm sure you're aware of it as well, David Hawkins.
Oh,
Or
I haven't read it, but yes.
oh yeah, yeah, it has very good insights on this topic as well. Uh, Also, have you heard of Vipassana, like practice?
Of
Uh,
what?
Vipassana practice. It's kind of mindfulness, kind of
No.
meditation. Yeah, it's also they talk. It's from Buddhism, and
Oh,
they
yeah.
focus on this topic of like love and compassion towards everyone. So my question here is that they give, for example, there are meditations for compassion, or heart meditations as well, uh, like some practices out there. I'm sure you've heard of some practices like that. So, what do you think of it? Is it helpful? Is it the way to go for someone who is trying to get this road? Or what is your?
Absolutely. If
Mhm.
it's helpful and it works for you, go for it. Meditation is a wonderful thing. I mean, even if you can only manage 5 minutes a day, something is happening. You're calming your mind. It may not seem that way. They call it the monkey mind in the Asian world. You know, the stuff is going, going, going all the time, but it actually does calm your mind. You may not realize it, but it helps with your connection to your intuition or higher self, God, whatever you want to call it, Holy Spirit. Pick a name, it doesn't matter to me. As long as you realize there is a source of power much greater than ourselves.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. That's very. I think that's very helpful for many. It was helpful for me. So it's one way to do it. Any other practical like things to practice in order to reach the state? For example, we mentioned the meditation.
Yeah,
For some people, they keep a gratitude journal.
yeah.
Uh, yeah. Any other things from your experience?
I can say deep breathing is always very good. I'm sure everybody, there are a zillion different types out there. I have a simple one where I breathe in through my nose, make sure my belly is out,
Hmm.
pause for just a moment, and I breathe out between my nose and mouth. And what that does is help release down low and out the lungs. Do that 3, 4 times. I have a saying that I always recommend people to say. It's extremely simple and extremely effective. I am always safe and protected. And by the way, don't only say it when you're unhappy or things are going wrong. Also say it when you're feeling happy because it reinforces that happiness. It'll also let go of any fear that you're having. I am always safe and protected. I still say it, by the way, every time I find my heart pounding or I'm feeling a little stressed about something, and it just calms me right down. And I'm a crystal person, so I do crystal healing. So if you're interested in crystals, a piece of rose quartz, a piece of moonstone, piece of black tourmaline, and a piece of selenite, all helpful. Just my starter kit, I call it. So these, and make sure the ones you buy are kind of palm size so you can hold them in your hand. Those are some suggestions.
Awesome. Yeah, very good advice. Perfect. So, Cindi, we came to the end of the episode.
It went very quickly.
Yeah. It's been 30 minutes already, so time flies with you. It's been a very interesting conversation. Any final ideas or thoughts you want to add before we wrap up?
I would like to say to everybody, please trust your intuition. Please make an effort to connect to it. Your life will improve like you wouldn't believe. Even if it's just a simple start, if you got a feeling or an idea that says, maybe I should skip my coffee today, or maybe I should have tea today, go ahead, do it. It's a great beginning. So connect to your intuition. I think that's probably the biggest advice I'd like to give.
Perfect. Yes, connecting to the intuition. That's very profound. Thank you so much, Cindi.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much, Albert.
Thank you.